Do you overthink and spiral into self-doubt when it's time to give a presentation at work? If so, that is completely normal. It happens to even the most experienced presenter. Well, if you wanted to stop, I am going to share with you an easy to do technique. You can do it anytime, anywhere. It does not cost any money, and it is scientifically proven to work. Really quick, I'll tell you who I am and why you can trust me with the information I am about to share with you. I am Dr. Shalonda Jones. I am a communications scholar and a public speaking coach. I specialize in helping professionals transform whatever concerns they have with public speaking into confidence so you can speak up and get the respect you deserve as the knowledgeable and credible professional you are in the workplace. So if you want to feel more confident about giving presentations, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I release videos on a weekly basis with all kinds of tips and techniques to help you step into the power of your voice. In this conversation, we are going to talk about three things. Number one, why overthinking happens. Number two, different types of behaviors associated with overthinking. And number three, a simple technique you can do to stop overthinking and start speaking with confidence. So let's start with our first topic of discussion. Why do people overthink when it comes time to give a presentation? And yes, the surface answers to that question are, what if something goes wrong? I don't want to embarrass myself. What if people don't like what I have to say? What if I forget to say something important? Those are the surface answers. And listen, when I tell you, even the most experienced presenter has concerns, they overthink sometimes, take it from me. I am an experienced presenter. And even right now, as I am recording this video, I'm concerned about my background not being attractive enough. Although I'm going to show you a technique I use to help me push through that concern and actually record this video. But that just goes to show even the most experienced presenters sometimes overthink and start to spiral into self-doubt. Here's why overthinking happens. Have you ever heard of the fight or flight response before? Overthinking happens because it is a type of fight or flight response. Our brains are hardwired to protect us from any type of situation that might result in an uncomfortable experience. And let's just be honest, it doesn't feel good to think people will judge us negatively if we mispronounce a word. Or it doesn't feel good to think people will not listen to what we have to say. Or it might feel embarrassing if we forget something and we go blank while giving a presentation. All of those what ifs contribute to the overthinking we experience, and the overthinking is actually a type of flight response protecting us from having those unpleasant experiences. That leads me to my second point, which is the different types of overthinking behaviors associated with the flight response. There are many different kinds of overthinking behaviors, but we will only talk about two overthinking behaviors in this conversation. The first type of overthinking behavior is the perfectionist. I personally am guilty of the perfectionist behavior. This is when a person overprepares. They practice and practice and practice. They rewrite their speech time and time again and never are satisfied with the progress they're making while preparing for their presentation. Overpreparing never solves the problem. As a matter of fact, it makes the nervous system even more triggered because there's this constant pursuit of perfectionism that does not exist anyway. Here's the thing about perfectionism. That is a turnoff. It doesn't feel genuine when somebody's over-rehearsed. It feels robotic. It feels too performative. When I start to slip into that perfectionism mindset, I have to remind myself the right people will connect with the real person I am. We'll talk about that more in a little bit when it comes to resolving the perfectionism mindset associated with overthinking. The second type of behavior associated with overthinking is procrastination. Procrastination gets a bad rep because people think procrastination and laziness are the same thing, and they are not. Procrastination happens because people are delaying engaging in a behavior that might not feel comfortable. That is the nervous system protecting them from the potential of experiencing discomfort. Let's just be honest. honest about it. Who's in a hurry to experience something they may not enjoy? That's why procrastination is there in situations where people are overthinking and they're concerned about the fact they may experience something unpleasant. So which one of these types of behaviors associated with overthinking do you usually experience? Share with me in the comments the one you relate to the most. Is it the perfectionist like me, or is it the procrastinator? Just because the nervous system has activated the fight or flight response to giving a presentation and people start to overthink and spiral into self-doubt and engage in perfectionism behaviors or engage in procrastination behaviors or both, that does not mean you should not give your presentation. That's why the next thing we are going to talk about is how to stop overthinking and how to start feeling confident about your presentation. The technique we are going to talk about is called reframing. It does not cost any money. You can do it anytime, anywhere. It is easy to do and is scientifically proven to work. I know I said that in the beginning of our conversation, but I have to say it again, just so our nervous system knows there's nothing else for us to worry about and we can do this. So when all of those what if concerns start to swirl around in your head, you will need something to write with and you will need something to write on. These are the only two materials you need. Now, I discourage using a laptop or a cell phone because the act of writing is going to be a lot more powerful than typing or speaking into your phone, and here's why. Writing is better than typing or voice recording because number one, writing is slower. You need the slower activity to help slow those thoughts that are swirling around in your brain. Number two, writing also increases mindfulness. So when we're typing, that's a little bit faster for most people, particularly if you know how to type. But when you are writing, it increases mindfulness about what you are writing and how much you are writing. The slower motion associated with writing and the increased mindfulness also contributes to something called emotional regulation. This act is going to allow you to experience those emotions in a controlled, constructive manner. So if you're upset, writing down, I'm upset, and being exaggerated about it is okay. Let those emotions out. This is a controlled way to manage and regulate your emotions. If you feel worried and anxious and your writing is a little bit unclear, that's okay. That is a controlled way to release the emotional experience you're having related to giving your presentation. That is why writing is an essential step in the reframing process. Second, write down all of the concerns you have. For example, I ran all over this house looking for something to put in my background because I'm worried that people will think my background is boring. I need something more attractive in my background. I wasted 10 minutes running around looking for something to put in my background. After wasting 10 minutes of my time running around looking for something to put in my background, I finally decided to sit down and write out my concern. When I sat down and wrote out my concern, what if people don't like my background? That was my number one concern. I did the next thing, which was to ask a question to challenge my concern. So the second step is to write a question challenging whatever concern you have. So my concern is people may not like my background. It may be too boring, too plain. Well, after I wrote that concern, the next thing I did was ask myself a question. What if people are more interested in what I have to say versus what's happening in my background? I get it. The background and aesthetics can help contribute to people staying engaged with the video. At the same time, I really want people to get valuable information when they come to my video. Writing a challenging question to the concerns I have started already to transform my preoccupation with perfectionism. It moved my thoughts from protecting myself from what I think might be an unpleasant experience, people judging me about my background, to a more practical, logical approach, which is to help people have valuable information. That led me to the third step, which is to write out action steps to take in favor of the question that challenged the concerns I had. I started writing down all of the things I would like to discuss, and that's how I actually came up with the topic for this conversation. After I wrote down the topics I wanted to discuss, I created a brief outline to make sure the information was structured and well organized. And I did the most important thing. I sat down, I pressed record, and I started having this conversation with you. You'll do something similar. You'll take action steps in favor of the question that challenged the concerns you had with giving your presentation. And I'm curious, what are some of the concerns you have with giving your presentation? Because I'd like to create a video to show you how to reframe those thoughts in a strategic, systematic way to get you results and feel more confident about giving your presentation. Leave a comment and tell me what your concerns are with giving your presentation, and I'll make a video to help you reframe those thoughts. So the whole point is you don't have to be crippled by overthinking and captive to the what if concerns that prevent you, or at least try to prevent you from giving your presentation at work. Real quick, I'll remind you why. Number one, overthinking is natural. It's normal. It's our nervous system attempting to protect us from what might result in an unpleasant experience. And there are two types of behaviors we discussed associated with overthinking, which are perfectionism and procrastination. I brought those behaviors up so that you can recognize what's happening and contributing to the flight response. But third, you can overcome overthinking and become a confident speaker by reframing your thoughts. Write down those concerns, write a question to challenge the concerns, take action steps to act in favor of the questions challenging your concerns. Listen, the bottom line is you have to be your biggest advocate. Stop the negative thoughts. Let the negative thoughts know you are in control and you have everything it takes to be successful. Make sure you save this video, come back to it whenever you start to overthink, engage in perfectionism behaviors, or procrastinate. Share with me in the comments the concerns you have, and I'll make a video to show you how to overcome those concerns. Now, the next video I release will be all about how to captivate your audience's attention from the first words you say in your presentation. So if you're not sure how to start your speech, make sure you catch next week's video. In the meantime, do something today and every day to help make your greatest ambition your greatest accomplishment.